Okay, good morning, folks, and welcome to Swing Trading Today. This is Bob Desmond, and it is April the 2nd, 5:30 in the a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's kick things off with Bitcoin, which is surging this morning at current on the day about 16%, a little bit more than that. And we were higher. We were as high as 5,100 earlier today. This is a 4-hour chart. We are extremely overbought. We are positioned long of Bitcoin. And here's what I had to say to members over the weekend on the week ahead commentary this past Sunday. Bitcoin, very close to a major league breakout. We were up, over 2% last week on this trade. I think we're going to 4,500 on Bitcoin in the short term. Okay, folks, let's segue continues higher. Now, here's the same chart of Bitcoin, weekly basis. This is the NYSE Bitcoin Index, and it does not reflect the price action thus far today. But here's what we were looking at. We were looking at a bullish key reversal last week, meaning that we were lower, we retested the support level, only to reverse and close higher on the week. We had our stochastics, which were rising and above 50. RSI rising, not above 50 yet. I would like to have seen that. But we should see that by the end of this week once this chart updates. This is an end of day chart. Now, let's take a look at how we closed out the month for the month of March. And here you have a beautiful breakout of this triangle formation for the month of March. And thus far this month of April, we have put in a new monthly high. And now you are seeing speculators move in and buying the shares. We bought the shares back down here at around 3,800. We have a nice profit in this trade so far. Now on a daily chart, you can see that we broke out here on the 18th. We pulled back, did a retest of what was resistance, was then support on the 26th. And now, as of yesterday, again, this is not updated yet. We'll, as soon as the market opens, we have new daily highs. The market was sending us a signal here when we put in a higher low and a double bottom setup on stochastics. And on Friday, we broke out above the upper band of resistance on a daily chart, RSI. Back to the 4-hour chart. Now, as you can see, since we last went over this chart only a few minutes ago, we are up another percentage point. Can you still buy Bitcoin? No, you cannot. The reason is that at current, we are trading above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band on a 4-hour chart, and we have RSI at 94.62. It looks as though right now Bitcoin will go to the moon. Don't kid yourself. We are going to get a pullback here. And on that pullback is when I would be looking to add more to our position. Don't let the short-term irrational exuberance cloud your judgment here. Sit back, relax. If you pull back on the shares of Bitcoin, you don't have to close your entire position. Take some off the table, make it real, add more on a pullback. So members, more to come on Bitcoin. Let's segue over and into the US dollar. Now the dollar is up today, and the reason why we're watching the dollar so closely is that yesterday we were stopped out of our gold mining trade. We booked profits there, big profits. We had hoped to stay long, but it wasn't to be. The dollar was strong. The markets were strong. The gold stocks and gold are not sexy. People want to buy Google, Amazon. And when you have the dollar, which is rallying, it makes it very difficult for gold and the gold miners to rally. So the dollar this morning is up. We are beginning to see a little bit of weakness here. But this bar, this 4-hour bar, opened up only about a half hour ago. So a lot more time here to recover or break down one of the two. But it looks as though the path of least resistance remains higher for the US dollar. We do have a new weekly high, folks. Speaking of gold, we do have a new daily low on the price of gold. Let's clear off this chart. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at here for gold, because we do want to buy our gold miners back, but we do need to see the price of gold firm up here a little bit and the dollar pull back. So that's what we'll be watching, and we will pay a particular attention to this upper band of resistance here. And we'll be looking for a breakout in the price of gold. But first, you need to see the US dollar begin to weaken up here a bit. And right now, the path of least resistance remains higher for the dollar. And we didn't want to fight it. So yesterday we made our, I'll get this right eventually, we made our profits in NUGT real. NUGT being the leveraged ETF for the gold miners. Now, what we could be seeing set up here, and this is nothing to trade off of per se, we just want to keep an eye on it, is a possible higher low for gold right here. We are beginning to see a little bit of flirtation with the upper band of resistance on RSI. So we'll see whether or not we get a breakout. But as it stands right now, the path of least resistance for gold on a daily and intraday basis is to the downside. So we don't want to hope when we should fear, right? We want to wait for the breakout. We want to see the dollar weaken up, and then we will look to put our foot back in the water and begin to buy back our position of NUGT. As it stands right now, but for now anyway, we're going to allow the price of gold and the miners to settle down a bit, and we'll display some patience. Let's take a look at the stock market futures. The S&P 500, we're down a little bit, flat on the day. But after a healthy day yesterday, this orderly pullback and being flat on the day with a bias slightly to the downside still looks pretty good. In the pre-market, we are beginning to break out above the upper band of resistance on the S&P 500. It can't be ignored. Now, will we close there? We won't know until 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But as it stands right now, the path of least resistance for the S&P 500 in the pre-market is to the upside, the NASDAQ. We are down in the pre-market. We are off the lows. And we are beginning to see a breakout on the NASDAQ in the pre-market. Now, crude oil prices are just in fuego. But you're beginning to see some topping action here on Brent as we lean into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. So I would not be a buyer here. I think we're probably going to get a pullback on Brent. What may help the price, though, is if the dollar pulls back dramatically. But just beware of these topping tails. Wicks, shadows, call them cupcakes, it doesn't matter. It's a sign that we have sellers above. Okay, folks, let's do a couple of stock chart requests. One is from one of our gold members. That is going to be the symbol VKTX, Viking Therapeutics. And then we're going to talk about a stock that's being discussed in our traders forum, and that is RSX. That's a Russian ETF. So let's begin with VKTX. We broke out last week, the week of March the 25th. We have a new weekly high, but we were rejected at the 50-period moving average. On a weekly basis, the Stokes are rising, RSI is rising, so the indicators are going in the right direction, price is going in the right direction. So on a weekly basis, you're seeing things firm up here. Daily chart. Now, on a daily basis, we broke out on Friday, and yesterday we pulled back a bit. I think what's going to happen here, and it will be a good thing, I think we'll pull back to the $9.50 level. You can see that it was back here, resistance, also back here, just shy of it, resistance. I think we're going to retest it, and that's a healthy thing. If you're looking for a good entry point from a risk-reward perspective, that's a great point because you want to put your stop loss right below that level, because if we break back down to within this trading range, you know we're going probably down to this lower band of support and you'll want to stop out. So VKTX, price action looking good, volume action was good on Friday, that's for sure. A little bit high yesterday. Now, I mentioned that we would probably get a pullback on price. If you take a look at Ultimate Oscillator, we had broken out and we've already had a pullback of the breakout point as of yesterday. RSI has broken out, confirming price. Stokes are rising, putting in higher lows. So they're going in the right direction. So we're seeing momentum build here. Show some patience. Allow for that pullback. Allow for the retest of $9.50. That is your entry point. That is it for this morning, folks. Everybody have a profitable trading day, and I'll talk to you soon.